here's the story now. If I see Kevin Owens, or even someone who looks like Kevin Owens, I drop them on sight.
Why are you excited to be? Why are you excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
Yeah. No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth. Is it true that your dad has a ringside seat, but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome! Yeah! Give it up!
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Pre-Party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. That's your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J Cal, and if you're here, that means you want to talk wrestling with me, and I want to talk wrestling with you. We do talk about the NWA. We cover the National Wrestling Alliance. If I put the red hat on, then people will realize I'm not Kevin Owens. I just don't want them to think I'm Fred Durst. Anyways, what's up, everybody? I see some of my pals are on YouTube already. We're streaming live. We're on Kick, twitch.tv. We're on TikTok. And, of course, the show is the most fun here on YouTube. And we get to interact with you guys. You can put some of your comments up on the screen. If you're watching on any of those other formats, head over to YouTube. And that way we can interact a little bit better. Our pal, Willie Bowen, who is not a big fan of Tyrus. Tyrus, for some of you who don't remember Tyrus from his time in the NWA, formerly wrestled in the WWE as the Funkasaurus. And the Tyrus joke of the day is, hi, J Cal. Tyrus' other favorite hobby is breaking toilet seats at Fox News. Because he's a very large man, and that the regular seats at Fox News wouldn't be able to support such a large athlete. Our pal Steve G's in the house, and he says, any word on when the United Wrestling Network are going to be on YouTube? I'm gonna say it. I don't know for sure, Steve. I don't know for sure. I can't give you a straight answer. But the idea was that these episodes were filmed to be released late March. So what they filmed in February should be coming, I would say, probably either this weekend or the following weekend on YouTube. That's what I was told. Things are always changing. I can't give you a for sure answer. I'll ask Dave Marquez when I see him next. But I would imagine it's going to be like this weekend. Our pal Devin Dowling's in the house. He says, yo, yo, yo. Anyone else on the shitter? Awesome, Double D. Glad that you take us with you wherever you go on the YouTube app. Tim Wilcox in the house. What's up, Tim? I'm doing good, man. Tim, I'm going to be in the UK in about 2 weeks from Thursday. And I'm going to go check out a wrestling show in Scotland when I'm there. I'm also, like I said, right now I'm also on TikTok Live, and someone in the chat over there says there's another dude on here that looks like he could be your brother. I'm assuming he's talking about Kevin Owens. Nicholas Fullerton said that I look like Kevin Owens from Temu. I prefer from Wish or Shein because I hear a lot of bad things about Temu, but that's just me. Willie, I go to Scotland in 2 weeks, and yeah, I will. I've met Fiona. Fiona came out to the Crockett Cup a few years ago. She's actually in the United States right now. She's out there in Texas. I will get to meet her when we go out there to Scotland. We're going to have lunch, I think, her and my family. So that'll be kind of cool. But yeah, Fiona has met my oldest daughter, Lily, and myself back, I think it was the 2022 Crockett Cup. Yeah. Hey, did anyone watch the Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling debut of the 10 pounds of gold Did you guys see the world's heavyweight champion, the real world's heavyweight champion, defended 10 pounds of gold up there in the north? It's the first time in a long time. They said it was 20 years for the World Heavyweight Championship to be in Canada in that I guess province. And James says, I don't see the resemblance. James, brother, I don't either, man. I don't. I lean into it because I've literally, if you guys were on TikTok right now, and I'm not lying, if you're on TikTok right now, there are at least 30 people who have commented, Kevin Owens? Is that Kevin Owens? Are you Kevin Owens? Timu Kevin Owens. It's Kevin Owens from Kmart. I get all of it, and I don't mind it. I don't. It's funny to me. I don't think I look as much like Kevin Owens as everyone else thinks I do, but I get it. Soto wants to know if pile drivers really hurt, and the answer is yes. And if you are watching me on TikTok, I do appreciate the likes and follows. That makes a lot. That means a lot to me, and it helps grow the channel. Rosville says, I watched the Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling pay-per-view. It was interesting. Like, Tom didn't go, like, okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. The last time the NWA World title was prominently featured in a Scott D'Amore promotion, it was Border City Wrestling when they were associated with TNA. Raven went to defend the 10 pounds of gold. Jeff Jarrett ended up leaving the country as world champion. It was a total screw job, but it was interesting and it was compelling. And that story from Border Championship Wrestling continued on TNA and made a lot of interesting things for the National Wrestling Alliance, for TNA Wrestling, and for Border City Wrestling. The whole transition, the screw job, it had people talking. And I was halfway expecting something like that to happen again, right? Because you had Tom Latimer, who we love Tom Latimer here at the Alliance blog, but some people have said that he's kind of a lame duck champion. They haven't seen a lot out of him. That, to be damned, he's been touring in the UK with the title. He's been in Canada multiple times with the title. He's been wrestling all over the United States as the title, with the NWA on tour, going to the territories. I mean, Tom Latimer is doing pretty much all that you could ask of Tom Latimer. And he still doesn't get the props or the respects that he should. So when they go to Canada, I'm thinking some screw job's going to happen. You're using Baron Corbin, the artist formerly known as Baron Corbin, now going by, I know his name. What was it? The Lone Wolf, Bishop Dyer. I got it. I'm so proud of myself for remembering that. And Bishop Dyer, it's kind of a badass. You know, the first time we saw the artist formerly known as Baron Corbin in a wrestling ring outside of the WWE, he competed for GCW's Bloodsport in a match against Josh Barnett, who's as tough as they come. And that was a pretty cool deal to have that opportunity for Baron Corbin, a guy. He's a made guy, right? Like, he's going to be a guy that gets booked just because he was in the WWE, but he really has been trying to rehab his image from the WWE. He's really putting in some work. And he came in, and it wasn't an easy match for Tom. Tom didn't come in and get an easy victory. It was a hard-fought match, right? Tom had to go low to win. And as our pal Rosville said, he had to go. The Strictly Business came out in that match, and he did. Like, the promo ahead of it, and I wish I had clipped it and had it for you guys to play. I'm sorry I didn't have time to do that this week. But he said, I can't go back to my boss and say, hey, Billy, I got my ass beat in Canada, and I lost the title. So it's like, yeah, man, he couldn't have done that. And so he was able to steal the victory, which, as a world heavyweight champion, you shouldn't have to steal anything. So, I mean, that's huge. It did two things. It, one, created another viable challenger for the NWA if they choose to do so. If they choose to do so, Bishop Dyer's right there. He got screwed out of that match with Tom Latimer. But furthermore, it put a spotlight on the NWA that they haven't had in a while. A big wrestling promotion was putting a spotlight on the NWA. And in conjunction with Natty Neidhart coming to Crockett Cup, I mean, I feel like things are starting to move in a positive direction for the National Wrestling Alliance. Is it going to make or break the NWA? No, absolutely not. The NWA chugs along as long as Billy Corgan wants it to chug along. For those of you who are watching on TikTok, Billy Corgan, the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins, is also the owner of the National Wrestling Alliance. James H. Jackson says, I feel that the industry will never let go and give Latimer what he really deserves. Look, part of that, James, part of that I feel is the NWA's fault. They can be doing that. They don't need Scott D'Amore and Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling to put a huge spotlight on them. They just haven't done it, right? They haven't put their money where their mouth is. Richard Holiday had a series of matches with EC3 at Exodus Pro Wrestling. But why not bring Richard Holiday into an NWA ring, into a power ring, and have Richard Holiday challenge Tom Latimer? That would have been a big deal. Alexander Hammerstone is a free agent. As far as I know, he's probably one of the hottest free agents in pro wrestling today. They could go out and get him for Crockett Cup. They can lock him up for that date. Hear me out. Carl the Machine Gun Anderson. Now, I know a lot of you are like, well, that guy's kind of been played out. You got to remember that dude was a big deal in New Japan Pro Wrestling for many years before becoming a tag team wrestler. He's also a former NWA World Tag Team Champion. He's a guy that, if they brought him in and built him up correctly, that would be a good match. And it would be like putting the star power back in the NWA. But that's not what the National Wrestling Alliance has done, right? So it doesn't really need to be the industry, James. I feel like it just needs to be the NWA. They need to put their money where their mouth is. And I'm not saying that, you can only bring in a big name to fight Tom Latimer. I'm saying there's no one on the roster currently that is a big enough attraction to draw in the casual fans. Machine Gun, maybe. If you were somehow able to get, someone from the WWE. I mean, they're bringing in Natty Neidhart. Like, if they wanted to give them AJ Styles for a night, that'd be huge. I wouldn't say Jeff Jarrett at this point in his stage in his career, but like, there are guys out there that could really bring some spotlight to the NWA. Guys that are available through free agency, or guys who are only available like through partnering with AEW or the the WWE. For shits and giggles, what about Ethan Page? What about Josh Alexander? These guys are, I'm sure the WWE can work that out. Soto says, I can't wait to see Natty. That'll be fun, man. Willie says Samoa Joe versus Tom Latimer. Now, Natty Neidhart said it took moving heaven and earth to get this deal done for her to go to the NWA. They need to have heaven and earth be moved to get Samoa Joe into the NWA. If that happened, just so you guys know, I'm a huge Samoa Joe fan. That's my guy. In all of wrestling right now, Samoa Joe's my guy. Even more than Kevin Owens TikTok. Yeah, so that would be amazing, but I don't think that's going to happen. James H. Jackson says, they could play that plays into the history for the NWA if you bring AJ Styles in. Absolutely. And like, that's the thing. AJ Styles held that NWA world title like 3 times, I think 2 or 3 times, maybe 2 times. Ron Killings also held that title 2 times. And our friend Vincent Verb X Patterson says, I'm telling you, the WWE needs to let R-Truth go to the NWA. That would be crazy. And I don't want K Quick. I don't want Ron Killings. I want R-Truth. I want the guy that I see on Raw right now. That would be amazing. He still looks incredible. If you put him in the ring with Tom Latimer, those are 2 really good-looking guys. You can't play Samoa Joe on 2K25, though. That's a bummer. Roswell says Hammerstone. Hammerstone's a guy, too. I feel like, for whatever reason, things didn't work out in TNA. I think he got hurt. I know he got hurt. But Hammerstone, he's too talented to not be signed by somebody. And if he's available, the NWA should be doing everything they can to sign that guy. That would be hilarious, Soto. Soto619, who you guys can also follow on TikTok. He's in our chat here on YouTube, says, I need R-Truth to show up and say, wait, this isn't Raw? That would be tremendous. Hey, where are the Bella Twins at? Oh, man. He's coming up to Peak Pro next month. Roswell, who's come? Oh, Hammerstone is. Yeah. Yeah, well, he's going to get all those dates while he can before he signs somewhere else. Like, the worst thing I think for me is if Hammerstone goes to AEW. Not because I don't want him to get paid. I 100% do. I feel like there's such a wealth of talent in AEW that they can't showcase everybody. And I feel like for Hammerstone, it might be better at this point to do like, you know, half your time in Japan, half your time in the US. Richard Holiday was never directly NWA. He was Exodus only. He's campaigning to face Latimer now. See, perfect. You know, Roswell. Roswell just pointed out that Holiday was never directly in the NWA. And that's kind of what I was trying to say is he was never on that power roster. Now, he challenged for the 10 pounds of gold in Exodus Pro, but Exodus Pro is an affiliate of the NWA, and it's not treated as like the main NWA vehicle. Obviously, that's power. That's where Billy Corgan finances the production. It's where they put all their effort and energy into his power. So somebody on TikTok said, can you do the show with the KO accent? So if you put Hammerstone in the NWA, no, that sounds terrible. I can't do that. Sorry, Caesar, not going to happen. Ryan Davis says, yeah, I like Hammer. Richard Holiday is already in the NWA, so bring in Hammer and reunite Dynasty. See, now that would be pretty killer, Ryan Davis, if they did reunite Dynasty. I don't think you're going to see that, though, mostly because I just don't think that the NWA has the finances to bring in everybody. You know, like, look, William Patrick Corgan is a wealthy guy. He's very well off. But he's not the billionaire that Tony Khan is. He's not the billionaire that TKO, well, not billionaire, but the company TKO is. Like, he just doesn't have those kind of assets. But I would be fine with them, like, you know, I think bringing in Hammerstone would be a good idea, or bringing in Richard Holiday. It would be dope if they could afford to do both. I just don't see that happening. And then that kind of will set up some bad karma in the back too, because if you are bringing in Hammerstone for his asking and Holiday for his asking, and then you look at a guy like Thrillbilly who's been there for a very long time, he's not getting what they're asking for, or somebody like even Trevor Murdoch, you know, I'm sure he's not making the same money that Richard Holiday is asking for. So again, it's like, yeah, I would love for the NWA to bring in these guys. I just don't see it happening, you know. Devin Dowling says, just put the title on Paul Walter Hauser like they were. Oh, my God. Oh, see, the time to have done that was during the season premiere of the Cobra Kai, right? That first season. Oh, man, I saw Royce Isaac this weekend. Royce Isaac won the Epic Pro Wrestling. That's a show that I helped sponsor. It wasn't a lot, but we helped sponsor Epic Pro Wrestling, and they crowned a new world champion, and it was Royce Isaac, and that dude's even bigger than what he was when he was working in the National Wrestling Alliance, and he hasn't grown any, right? But I think if you put him in the ring against Tom, he certainly would pass the sniff test. Yeah. I think Royce versus Latimer would be epic. I agree with you on that. And Mance Warner, the first time I saw Mance Warner was in Illinois for, I forgot the name of that promotion. But anyways, he was great. I loved Mance Warner. He was good guy Mance Warner, and that got over. And I've seen crazy Mance Warner at GCW, and that got over. So it's like Mance Warner is a guy that I think would be very fun in the NWA. Vanessa Flores says, is that Kevin Owens? I thought this was KO. Do you have a friend named Sammy? If Kevin Owens ain't your favorite wrestler, we riot. Yeah. I need to know how to watch these so I can keep up with you and also know what I'm looking up. Hey, Soto619, you could watch, and not just Soto, but anyone who else is watching this via TikTok, Twitch, Kick, or YouTube. The NWA does their weekly power show every Tuesday at 3:05 East, 6:05 Eastern, 3:05 Pacific on Twitter or X at x.com/the NWA. You don't have to be, you don't have to have an account to watch the show. You can literally just go to x.com/NWA. If you have like the Roku app, I think you could access X from that as well. I just watch it on my PC. But yeah, Sammy Retro needs to join you sometime. There is a guy on TikTok who has an unbearable or uncanny appearance of Sammy. Like, I saw him and I thought it was Sammy at first too, because he even did the facial like weird face. And yeah, that was I've kind of reached out to him. I don't know what we could do. I think he's in Europe, but yeah. I'm still getting the Kevin Owens comments, bro. I thought you were KO. You look like Kevin Owens, man. I thought you were Kevin Owens. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, Ryan, that's the thing, man. Like, the NWA is not limited. They themselves have put themselves exclusively on X. I don't believe that they are under contract with Elon Musk or X in any way, shape, or form. They decided to be exclusive on X because they decided to be exclusive on X. They put other matches up on YouTube, which is great, but I don't understand why you would. Right now, your boy J Cow, who does not have the finances or resources of the NWA, I'm literally live streaming on 4 different platforms. It could be 5. Hell, it could be 6 if I wanted to. And the fact of the matter is, anybody could do this. Minimal amount of money. I think I pay like $150 a year for this. They could do it if they want to. They don't want to do it. And I think that's silly. Chris Drummond, GCW and FSW are doing WWE ID matches during Mania weekend. Would you want the NWA to host tournament matches? That's a great question, Chris. And yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. I wouldn't mind if the NWA was using these WWE ID talents. Like, why wouldn't you? They've already used Jack Hartwell several times in the past. Yeah. The WWE ID talents, look, they're under consideration for the WWE because they have this high potential, right? Now, they're not there yet. That's why they're on these ID contracts. And it's not, it reminds me so much of back in the day when they had developmental deals. But the developmental deals were that these talents can only do these promotions, Ohio Valley or Memphis or Florida Championship Wrestling, whatever it was. This is such a smarter way to go. You put these guys under contract. You're not paying them like a major contract. These are minor contracts. And these talents are able to go anywhere, work anywhere, as long as it doesn't interfere with their WWE dates, which are not that many. And they're getting better being out on this, being out on the indies. It's like it's almost like they have scholarships for pro wrestling. Soto says Kevin Owens saved Carmelo Hayes from Randy Orton and then ran off to jump on his podcast. That's right, Soto. We have podcasts to do, The National Wrestling Alliance needs to sign a contract with Ion TV. There's something there, David Valentine. I think Ion is owned by, I don't know if it's Viacom or if it's Universal, but I think their parent company already shows pro wrestling, and that typically means that they won't be associated with that. So I don't. Ion might be a good fit, but until someone can show me where that's going to work, I don't know. I think if I'm Billy Corgan today, and we do this all the time, but if I'm Billy Corgan right now, I'm not going to worry about a national television deal. I'm not going to worry about getting on a streaming service. What I'm going to do is create what I call the best NWA product I can. If it's Power, great. If it's NWA USA, great. And I'm going to put it on in the markets where the NWA seems to do the best. They do really well in Dothan, Alabama. So much so that they're going to Dothan, Alabama this weekend. Hard Times number 5, Daddy. I would put TV on in Dothan, Alabama, and this would be the best version of Power I could make, or best version of the NWA I can make. And then in Tampa, they do their regular TV tapings there. Go there and put the same show on and pay for time if you have to. Look, we all understand Billy's not afraid to spend money on this if it makes sense. Building up in the areas where the NWA is currently going on tour, wrestling shows, you know, the Northeast. They've partnered with Championship Entertainment Productions. They've done like 3 live events in that market, maybe 4. That's where I'd put my TV, in those places. Roswell says Dallas is a good crowd, really good crowd. Okay, cool. Dallas too. And pay for the time if you have to. And that whatever show is in these local markets would not be the same show that I'm putting on Twitter. Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it would be a different show. Same talent, obviously, but like, no, different matches. This show needs to feel very homegrown and tied to the communities that they're in and very connected. And if people want to watch it, well, then they can see the replay of it on YouTube. But the power that you see on X, leave it. Don't change it. Don't change it. Have 2 separate shows. And that's what I would do. I think Anthony Katina is under the WWE ID program also. He was in the NWA for a while too. Yeah, so was not Hunter Drake, but another Drake. I used to know the WWE ID signees. WWE ID signees. Okay, so here's who, according to What Culture Pro Wrestling, here's the list of the WWE IDs. Bryce Donovan, Cold Brew Cappuccino Jones, Zeta Steel, Zara Sakar, Sean Legacy, Cartwheel Jack Summit, Marcus Mathers, Sam Hardaway Halloway, It's Gal, Ice Williams. Ice Williams competes at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood too. Aaron Rourke, Brad Baylor, Jackson Drake, no relation to Hunter Drake, Ricky Smokes, Zoe Sager, Aaron Roberts, Kylie Ray. Interestingly enough, Kylie Ray was a former NWA talent as well. Freedom Ramsey, Jordan Oasis. You can see Jordan Oasis at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood as well. So, yeah, I mean, I did see Anthony Canetta's name in there, but that doesn't mean he's not in there. That doesn't, you know, this is, I don't know how old that list is. Excuse me. The problem is we're passionate about this organization while Billy treats it as a side hobby. Look, Double D, this isn't just a side hobby. This is like number 5 on the list, right? Because, like, look, guy pays his bill Smashing Pumpkins, right? Like, that's where his money comes from. Then he's got Madame Zuzu's Tea House in Chicago. Then he has the podcast that he does, The Magnificent Others. And then he has the NWA, of course, and then his whatever side project he's doing that week. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's not his priority. It's just not. It never will be. Does he commit a lot of time to it? Absolutely. Being at the TV tapings once a month is a lot. But, yeah, I mean, look, we will always, I think the diehard fan base will always be passionate about what the NWA should do, when in reality, Billy Corgan can only do what Billy Corgan can do. Get more of those legit thought you were KO. KO, what's up? You a twin of KO? Yeah, I guess I am. James H. Jackson, what is FAST channels? I don't know what that is. FAST channels. You'll have to explain that to me. Michael Manning, my buddy, how have you been, man? I haven't seen you on in a while. Seems like Billy's filling out the different arenas and audiences at the moment. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a smart thing to do. Like, the territory is growing, right? We've got members in St. Louis, and in Tennessee, 2 in Tennessee, Chicago, Ohio, New Mexico, 2 in Texas, the associate member in Florida, kind of an associate member in New York. I mean, those aren't officially been announced as NWA territories, but for all intents and purposes, they should be. It'd be cool. I wouldn't hate that. What if NWA held matches in Bakersfield, California? That would be interesting, Willie. I'm not going to lie. Bakersfield is not a close drive for me, but I might be willing to make it if it was a big event. I know that they'll be in Sacramento, I think in April for a grilled cheese retro festival, and our boy Sammy Retro should be out there. Sam Retro is a huge fan of the nostalgia, and I feel like that'd be an event perfect for him. But it's all the way in Sacramento. David Valentine said Kylie Ray. Yeah, I think I said that right. Dave Scooby says, bring back NWA USA as a 30-minute Territories highlight show. Perfect way to show up-and-coming talent as well as NWA talent not currently being pushed on Power. So Dave Scooby, I feel, is very... He's a wrestling intellectual. I like to think I'm as talented and smart as Dave Scooby when it comes to this stuff. A lot of times I feel like he's reading my mind, or maybe I'm reading his. But yeah, how hard would it be to put on a 30-minute show every week? Look, I don't know what Gary Horn's status is with the NWA, but I think he'd be the perfect guy to host a show like that. Hey, here's this match from this company. Here's this match from this company. Next week, here's a match from this company. Here's a match from this company. Here's what you missed on Power. It would be easy. In 30 minutes would be such an easy watch. And I don't know. It sounds like it makes too much sense, right? Rick Del Santo's in the house. Just so you guys know, when your boy Jay goes to the UK, Rick Del Santo's going to be filling in with DKM and Jaden, hosting the Alliance Guys podcast. And I'm sure they'll have some cool stuff to talk about. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Rick is another wrestling intellect. Rick is my superior. I enjoy what Rick does, and I have nothing but good things to say about Rick Del Santo. Billy had a 3-hour show on Joe Rogan's podcast and talked about the NWA for like 20 seconds. See, but part of that too, I feel like Devin that's part of that's Joe Rogan. Like, yeah, it's Billy's job to push these things, but he doesn't. You're right. He doesn't care about the NWA that way. It sucks. Tubi is fast. Fast equals free ad-supported TV. Perfect. That makes sense. It's what the industry calls stuff like Tubi, Pluto. Yeah. And that's the thing, too. I mean, with the NWA's library as it stands today, and I don't know if Billy just doesn't want to release that stuff, but a show on Pluto would be a remarkable idea. A channel on Pluto. They've got, at this point, hundreds of hours of pay-per-view. We lost access to all that when they left Triller. How many pay-per-views did you buy? I bought a ton of pay-per-views, and they're all gone. I didn't get to keep any of them, and it was unexpected and a real bummer. And my kids on the TikTok. What's up, Claire? So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the NWA should have a channel on Pluto or providing content in that avenue. Like, look, man, I have enough content that I could probably do a week of content. It wouldn't be first run content. It'd be like interviews from the last like 15 years. But yeah. And our pal Chris Drummond says Tubi's owned by Fox. Do you think WWE will allow competition on Tubi? Maybe Tubi's not the answer, right? I would say Tubi's definitely not the answer. I don't know that the WWE would not allow the competition because it seems like they're more open to competition now these days than they ever have been before. But I don't think that that's the right avenue for it, especially like, you guys remember when the NWA was on CW on the app? Have you guys watched NXT on the CW app? One of these products is not like the other. Bobby Bettino. What's up, Bobby? How you been, man? Oh, Bobby, you watched the match at Maple Leaf Pro? Yeah, I was happy with the way that the match ended because it left an opening to do something else. And I don't know if that something else will be at Crockett Cup or if it'll be somewhere else. Might not even be the NWA. Might be back at Maple Leaf Pro again. But the opposition, the opportunity to run that match back again, I think would be very good for all parties involved. James H. Jackson says, I agree, as not everyone watches not Jim Crockett, Joe Kazana Promotions or Crossfire Wrestling or WLW each week on YouTube like we do weekly on the recap show would be good for those who don't. Yeah, 100%. And the fact of the matter is that, look, if they do that like on a Sunday, right? Get all the shows from the week before, clip, we don't need all the shows. We just need a match or two. Oh, here's Jeremiah Plunkett defending the Mid-American Heavyweight Championship against Kerry Morton. Or here's, I don't know, JB Smooth challenging Cal Hera, whatever the matches are. I think it would make sense. And I wouldn't say one territory. I think it should be all the territories. And like James was saying, Roswell said it, rotate the promotions. This week JCP and WLW, next week New Mexico and Crossfire, the final week Chicago and Exodus Pro. It'd be smart. And for everyone who's giving me follows on TikTok, I appreciate you guys. I will follow you back once I get off the live. But yeah, James H. Jackson said, yes, that's what I mean. Run that old season on Pluto with ads. Yeah, that would be. See, James, I think that's smart, right? Because you're sitting on a library, and let's be honest, what is the value of the library that Billy Corgan has currently? Who came from the NWA who absolutely just is killing it now in the major leagues of pro wrestling? Ricky Starks? Maybe? Who else? Thunder Rosa? I mean, Thunder Rosa, the iron was at its hottest a year or two ago before she got injured. Now I think doesn't carry the same weight. However, putting those matches again on a platform, with that much content that you could literally do, you could put everything on it, right? I wouldn't put the Power currently on it. I would put your old stuff and your weekly live stream on there. And I know, like before, you say, "Hey Jay, the live stream is very unprofessional. It's not high class." Like, it doesn't have to be. You're getting people to watch, and you're updating them, and running commercials about what's coming next. Hard Times in Dothan, Alabama, Crockett Cup in Philly, Power on X every Tuesday, 6:05. That's what I would do. But that's just me. What do I know? I guess I've been on TikTok for a while because they just told me I need to make sure that I'm still there. But yeah, I agree with you on that. Ryan says Tubi has some good programming. Double D says Pop might want pro wrestling again. Pop might be the answer. But as Chris said, Pop is owned by Viacom, and I can see TNA there. Yeah. Again, TNA is in a similar situation to the NWA, except for TNA is way more leveraged, has got a partnership with the WWE, and has like big time programming opportunities across the world. When WWE in the United States, WWE just moved Raw to Netflix, right? But in other parts of the world, the WWE, all of its programming is now off of these local companies, and they're all on Netflix internationally. So what that all means is, like, in Canada, I can't remember the network, but it's their main sports network. It's similar to our ESPN. They're showing TNA on on that channel in the time that they used to show SmackDown. That's a huge deal. It's Canada, but that's a huge deal for TNA. Canada's treating TNA. Finally, TNA is getting the respect that it deserves. It's only happening in Canada. Sky Sports is what I'm being told on TikTok. But yeah, it's a huge opportunity for TNA. If the NWA could start landing some deals like that, that'd be huge. But remember, the NWA selfishly, absent-mindedly ignored their entire international audience when they took Power off of YouTube and went to the CW app. So maybe there's not a demand for it internationally. Look, I know that our pal Tim, the Alliance Gold, quit watching the NWA once they took it off of YouTube because he couldn't see it anymore. So who knows? Bobby Bettito says he's looking forward to watching Giselle Shaw versus Kylie Ray in the finals for the MLP Women's Canadian Championship at Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling on May 10th. That should be a good one. And Pluto TV pays like YouTube. Why not open that passive means of income with the old content? Exactly, Roswell. See, why are we thinking about this as a business better than Billy? Or maybe he has. Maybe he's seen the numbers and he says it's not worth it. It's not worth the time, effort, and energy. And he knows more than we do because we don't know what it costs to produce this content. We don't know what it costs to get that content from point A to point B. But I imagine it would make so much sense to do it. Michael Manning, they use the library wisely for All In. Yeah, but, you know, yeah. Cody Rhodes, Ricky Starks, Eddie Kingston before the injury. Okay, you've got Ricky Starks. Cody only appeared twice for the NWA, and really only once. There was a 70th anniversary show. Ricky Starks, yes. Eddie Kingston, you got to remember that most of the time Eddie was in the NWA, he was a tag team wrestler with Homicide. And they were building up to him and the Pope, and then the pandemic happened, and it never panned out. I would have liked to have seen where they were going with that. Devin Dowling said Chelsea Green. Okay, that's a solid answer. Chelsea Green's a solid answer. Thunder Rosa was white hot when she beat Britt Baker for the AEW World Title. Exactly, 100%. If Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling and the NWA did have a partnership, which NWA wrestlers would you like to see on Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling? I mean, that's easy, Bobby. The first one, I would like to see the Southern Six in Maple Leaf Pro, the entire group, Alex, Carrie, and Silas. I would also put on Murdoch's, the tag team champions. I think Blunt Force Trauma could work. No, I don't want to see Carson Drake on Canadian television. I do not. David Valentine, that would be a day for us all to celebrate if Billy Corgan sold the NWA to Mark Cuban. But I don't think Mark Cuban has any interest in running a part-time wrestling promotion. Soto says the TikTok is starting to show TV shows. 100%. That's been something I've been calling for a while. And I don't know if you just film in the vertical format, right? Like that TikTok is used to, but that would be a smart idea too. I think you could, Chris Shoemaker has Eli Drake. Okay. Eli Drake. But again, that guy was used as a tag team wrestler in the NWA. Yeah. How crazy was that? You had Nick Aldis, this guy who cut amazing promos and was a 5-tool athlete. And you had L.A. Knight sitting right there. Both of these guys, I think, would have been an amazing storyline, amazing feud, and they blew it. They never even put them in the ring. I think they were in the ring one time with each other. So, hey, thanks for liking the video, guys. If you are watching on YouTube or Kick or Twitch, be sure you give this video a thumbs up, a like, heart, whatever you do. And also after the video, if you could leave a comment, that helps with the algorithm, gets people to see this product that they don't normally see. Willie says that Power should feature the World Heavyweight Champion, National Champion, Tag Team Champions, the women's, both sets of women titles against top contenders. I noticed that you left the TV titles out of there, Willie. Double D said Scott Steiner. Yeah. I mean, I don't think he went up. I think he just went down. Bobby says Aldis versus Drake would have been an awesome match for pay-per-view. Sean Mega says, I think they hinted at future feud, but COVID happened. Yeah, COVID hurt the NWA more than any other wrestling promotion. Well, except for maybe Ring of Honor. Because before COVID, Ring of Honor was okay. And then after COVID, they got sold to Tony Khan. But let me get a drink here because I'm getting really dry. But yeah, all of this to say is that the NWA, again, I feel like the National Wrestling Alliance could be far more leveraged than they are currently. I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities for the National Wrestling Alliance. But that doesn't mean that they aren't doing some things that I'm a fan of. Of course, I really do dig the Southern Six with Silas Mason, and I'm very interested to where they're going to go with that storyline that they kind of planted seeds on last week with Silas and Alex Taylor talking about the Jax Dane Memorial World Title Tournament and the implications of a Kerry Morton versus Kerry Morton versus Silas Mason in the finals of the Jax Dane tournament. Obviously, those are probably the two biggest names in the tournament, along with Max the Impaler, and with Morton getting the win over Wrecking Ball Legursky, he doesn't have a very difficult path to the finals. Silas Mason, we know, will be taking on Colby Carino at some point in the tournament. We don't know exactly when these matches are going to air, or if they're going to air in unison of when they were filmed. But we do know for this week's Power, they do continue on with the tapings from January 11th, the Shockwave in Forney, Texas. So we know that they will continue the Jax Dane Memorial Tournament. They will have a lucha de apuestas, máscara contra cabello, meaning a mask versus hair match, and the debut of Power's newest tag team, the Moneybirds. Tuesday night, the new team of the Moneybirds make their Power debut. They take on Tiffany Nieves and Miss Starr. Now, Miss Starr, the last time we saw her, she was the NWA Women's Tag Team Champion, but her and Ella Envy lost those titles to the Champs and Kenzie Page and Big Mama. Try to get Big Mama on the podcast. Hopefully we can do that very soon. So Starr's coming off a disappointing loss. Tiffany Nieves is coming off of a disappointing loss. She lost to Markova in the cage match from Looks at Kill back in Dothan, Alabama. So she needs to get some positive momentum. And they're taking on this new team of Gigi Ray and Monica Monroe, the Moneybirds. The two were formed at Mission Pro Wrestling, which used to have kind of a loose alliance with the NWA. But they've both been regulars for Booker T's Reality of Wrestling. They've also appeared in AEW. And the team looks promising. They have a great look. They're still relatively new as a tag team, but both ladies have held single titles. But together, they haven't accomplished a lot as a tag team. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this. Of course, the makeshift tag team of Nieves and Starr, prior to this team, Tiffany Nieves at one point was teaming with Reka Tahaka. They were a pretty dominant tag team, never getting a chance to win the titles, but definitely having opportunities to wrestle for them. So that should be, I think that'll be a good match. And hopefully the Moneybirds come out looking really good because especially if they are a Texas-based tag team, we could see them a lot in the NWA Texas territories as well as Power. Then next up, we have the hair versus mask match. Alex Misery taking on Gags with special referee Joe Ocasio. Ocasio, this is an interesting deal with this guy because the NWA tries to treat him as a junior heavyweight. Power uses Ocasio as a junior heavyweight, which he might be a junior heavyweight. The problem is the guy looks like he ate a junior heavyweight. He's big. He's gassed. I don't know if gas is the right word, but he is a big dude. And I don't know that, I believe this whole thing came about. Lev and Gags the Gimp wrestled at the 76th anniversary show. Lev now under the guidance, he serves Alexander Misery. So I don't really know how this all plays together. I remember at one point Ocasio beating up some of these guys with a stick. So who knows? They're throwing these guys together. It's not a match that I'm excited about. Miss Swa, Stephanie, I'm talking about the National Wrestling Alliance. You can watch the NWA today. In fact, you can watch them in about 10 minutes on x.com/the NWA. That's where they show Power. And let me see some of these comments that I was ignoring here. Oh, yeah, you guys got a lot of comments. X is Pro once again smashed it out of the park last week, and Billy should just let EC3 book Power. I bet there's been some internal discussions about that, Tim. I started watching some of it today. I didn't really get too far into it. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I don't know for sure. Michael Manning says the Southern Six are always killing it. I just love the dynamic of Silas Mason and Alex Taylor. Of course, they sounds like they're planting some seeds against Carrie, but who knows? It could just be a swerve. I like them better as a trio than I do as breaking up that group. Chris Drummond says, Jake, how wasted opportunity by the NWA not to do a documentary about the Burke to piggyback off the movie hype. I couldn't disagree more. No, I couldn't agree more. What? I don't know what footage is out there that has Mildred Burke and her time in pro wrestling. I do know that Billy has access to some vintage wrestling from the Chicagoland area. I think he still might have access to the Paul Bosch library. I'm not 100% sure on that. Again, I don't know how that connects with the Burke, with June Beyer, with any of that stuff. But I certainly think that would have been a good opportunity. Maybe even just to showcase that title a little bit more. Hey, you've seen the movie. Now see the title live in the NWA. Here's our women's champion. Here's who used to be champion. And they could have really just built up the Burke over the last few years and presented it as a way to piggyback off that movie. I agree with you, Chris. It's a great idea. Let's see. Bobby Petito says, I've been enjoying Colby Carino on NWA Power. Colby's great, man. I love Colby Carino. I was not a huge fan of Colby Carino. I am a huge fan of Colby Carino now. I think he's really worked hard to elevate himself, right? And I feel like if given the opportunity, given the ball, he's going to run with it. Now, where does that put him? I don't know. Is he going to wrestle Mims for the title? Is he going to wrestle Carson Drake for the title? Hell, if he wins this tournament, he could be wrestling Tom Latimer for the title. I don't know if he's ready for the 10 pounds of gold, but I certainly could see him being a TV champion. And especially with a champion like Carson Drake, I think that title needs to travel. I think it needs to go back and forth. And for all of you who love Carson Drake, I don't have a problem with him regaining the title. I just think he should lose the title. I think the title should be more fluid and should be defended more frequently. Double D says, I love the Southern Six, but Carrie's going to put Silas in his place. Oh, no! No! Double D. That's a hot take, my friend. Carrie's going to put Silas in his place? The Riz God is going to put the Thrillbilly, the biggest man in professional wrestling, in his place? You got to be kidding me. Bobby says, it's nice to see a fresh women's tag team debut on NWA Power. The Moneybirds, yeah, I agree. I think it's great. Double D says he misses Mecha Wolf and Bestia 666. Agreed 100%. The tag team division has gotten kind of stale in the NWA. I would like to see a lot of changes to the roster, to be quite honest with you. We'll see. David Valentine brings up Destination America, My Network TV, CBS, FS1 would be decent options for the NWA to show their talent to a broader audience. David, we go back and forth with this all the time. And it's, if the NWA was an undeniable product, these opportunities would be available to them. I don't know that that's the sentiment out there in the world of professional wrestling. I don't know if that's the sentiment for the broadcast television. They need to do something else. They need to take that next step. Being a part-time wrestling promotion will not put you on Destination America or My Network TV. Sure as hell won't put you on CBS. It's got to be a big promotion. It's got to be a big deal. And so far, they're not there yet. Do you think Jimmy could have a new tag team partner like Priest? That's a WWE talk. Jimmy Uso and Damian Priest. That wouldn't be a bad combination, actually. I feel like they'd be a huge step back for Damian Priest, though. Noob brings it up again. NWA needs to sign more female wrestlers for the women's division. 100%, Noob. That's the one thing that you and I can 100% agree upon. There are some very talented women in the NWA, but like just as soon as they get there, it seems like they disappear. We had Hollywood Haley J. Haven't seen her in a while. Haven't seen her advertised for any future NWA events. We haven't seen her for Crockett Cup. We don't see her announced for Hard Times. She might be done with the company. The King Bees are gone. They need to restock the farm with the women's talent. And there are talented women out there. And if it means just using WWID talent, why wouldn't you? Go for it, man. Kylie Ray back on the roster? I sign me up. Put Power back on YouTube. That's the easy solution right there. Bobby says Joe Casio looks like he can wrestle in the national heavyweight division. Yeah, Bobby, I agree. I feel like Ocasio might be a genuine junior heavyweight, but it looks big enough that he could be in the heavyweight division. But they do the same thing with Spencer Slade. Spencer Slade is a guy who I feel like they're totally underutilized, but that's where it's at. Kayla Rossi, I think she had a baby, David. She hasn't been seen for a while now. Dave Scooby says, right now, unless you're a diehard NWA fan, Power is just a background show for most wrestling fans. I would say most wrestling fans don't watch Power. 76,000 people watch Power on X. That sounds like a lot to you and me, but just realize that like hundreds of thousands of people are watching NXT. Hundreds of thousands of people are watching AEW. Millions of people are watching SmackDown and Raw. It's like it's not even close. Big Alex Taylor mentioned going to the UK this year. Have you heard any more? I know that I think Silas Mason was just out there, so I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor goes out there soon. I don't know where. If I hear anything, I'll be sure to say. Michael Manning, I'm going to be in the UK in 2 weeks. I'll be out in Edinburgh in Scotland. We're also going to go to Inverness, and we'll be in London for a little bit, and then I'll be at the Isle of Man. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to catch a show while I'm out there too. So I'm excited about that. Would you like to see WWE tag teams in the Crockett Cup? I mean, if it's an opportunity to bring in some big name talent for the Crockett Cup, yeah, absolutely. Could you imagine? Look, I'm not saying give us the Street Profits. I'm not saying give us the do-it-yourself or even like the Motor City Machine Guns. But could you imagine if Fraxium appeared as a tag team for the Crockett Cup? That'd be amazing. But I just don't see that happening. Willie's not a big fan of that idea. I personally think if you can get people to watch the NWA, you do it. Oh, man. Devin Dowling. I want it to happen so bad now. The New Day is the Crockett Cup tournament winners. Oh, God, that'd be so great. They could say that tournament solidifies them as the best tag team, better than the Dudley Boys, better than Edge and Christian, better than the Hardys, better than anybody. Wow. I would still like to see FTR in the tournament, but I know that ain't going to happen either. Noob says, I've been enjoying Natalia Markova, but I hope that she'll be wrestling in the big leagues at some point in her career. Yeah, Markova's great, man. You're not going to hear an argument from me saying that Markova isn't great. I just don't know if she's got what the big leagues are looking for. Willie Boa says, Dude, Dave sucks. Dude, Dave sucks. Willie, have you been keeping up with the product? The fans agree with you. Figure 4 says, a view on X is 3 seconds. Yeah. Bobby says, it would be awesome to see the Street Profits in the Cup. Yeah, I agree, man. Now, we talked a little bit about Power. I do want to also wrap up that initially we thought it was going to be Tyler Franks in a match against Maxime Paler. But now, like after seeing the graphic for the show and them using a silhouette and just saying Frank, and the fact that the NWA live stream last night did not acknowledge it being Tyler Franks, I don't know. We know that Maxime Paler has kind of been on a downward spiral since losing the television title to Carson Drake. Max did not have a good. I feel like Max looked very human in a match against her first match against Tyler Franks. And if Max looked human in that matchup, what is she going to do when she faces real competition? If Max advances in the first round, they are going to have to take on the winner of Silas Mason, Colby Carino. That doesn't have a lot of promise for me. I feel like Silas Mason would absolutely destroy Max, and the mystique of Max is kind of worn off at this point. So I don't know. really, Boas's New Day are the slime balls with a deep tan? Damn, Willie. Oh, the comments are stiff today. If only my drinks were as stiff. Guys, that's going to do it for us today here on YouTube, on Twitch, on Kick, on TikTok. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. 2 hours on TikTok, and we've been just about an hour here on YouTube. Always fun. Tuesdays are always so much fun for me because I get to hang out with you, my hashtag NWA fam. Should I go to Crockett Cup? Let me know what you think. Leave a comment after this video if I should go to the Crockett Cup or not. But we're going to wrap it up here because it's now time to go watch Power on X. Again, x.com/NWA. If you enjoyed this podcast, live stream, whatever you want to call it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps with the algorithm, which makes us seen by more people. And we're all about that. And again, if you financially want to help support the show, we do have hats, t-shirts available. The merch link is in the bio for this video. If you're watching on the streaming platforms, if you're watching on TikTok, I believe it is in the profile. You can find it there. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me each and every Tuesday. We're going to wrap it up here. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for checking out the Pre-Party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA Power every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance.